Now, there has been a significant increase in the number of children with special needs in Singapore's mainstream schools over the last decade. And so, to cater to this growing demographic, more schools have been set up with improved inclusive learning environments. But how can these modified situations enable a child with special needs to thrive? And what are the challenges associated with parenting such a child? Well, here to discuss this today are Tricia Tam, an associate psychologist. We've also got Julia Teo, the Deputy Director of Operations at Busy Bees Asia, and parent Foo Wann Yun. She has a 4-year-old child with autism. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Hello.
Tricia, I'd like to kick things off with you. First of all, what challenges do kids with special needs typically face when it comes to learning?
Okay, based on my experience, it's very much social communication and emotional regulation. So it's very often that a child is not able to use language to express their needs. I'm sure Wann Yun will be able to relate with that. So it's often a child comes into school having very minimal speech. So what we do is we use therapy services. For example, in this case, it would be speech therapy to allow the child to have the appropriate needs and the support that we can provide so that they'll be able to express their needs, to receive and to be able to verbalize their thoughts in that sense.
And there's been so much talk about an inclusive education. Maybe
Yeah.
Julie would like to elaborate more on that.
Okay, so we're looking at, well, typically it would be special needs with typical children in a common space, but really it's more than that. It's coming up with tailor-made education that's meant for each child, and really the end goal is to ensure that we bring out the best potential that we have in children. I feel that inclusive should be a voice, and it's a choice that we all make to ensure that all the voices are heard. So for me, inclusive education, it's really making sure that each one's best is being showcased. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Wann Yun, we were talking just before the show, and you said your son Russell, he's 4 now.
Yes.
He was only formally diagnosed with autism last year. So, what sort of challenges did you face when you were hunting for a right school that might fit his behavior rather than he fit a certain mold?
When I was on the search, it was more of I had other things to consider, like logistics and where it's convenient for me to
Right,
shuttle
of
him
course.
around as well. My key factor would be having a team that will be willing to embrace his differences, somebody who is willing to help build up his potential. So when I went to about 2 or 3 government-assisted kind of programs, and really the people who welcomed me or the people who talked to me gave me the vibes whether I feel Russell will be given a fair chance, or whether he'll be groomed and really loved for who he is and what he has and what he doesn't.
So, Russell is at Bright Path
Yes, he's
Inclusive
there now.
Preschool now. How is he doing?
He's really enjoying it. Sometimes he calls me his teacher's name, Miss Nora. So I can tell that he is
Loves
affectionate. And in terms of his meltdowns and all the difficulties that he had expressing himself, I can see a stark difference.
Right.
And when I brought him back to his previous preschool, even the teachers felt that he has moved so quickly and so fast in just 5 months.
Less frustrated tantrums and all
Yes.
that. So you're quite fortunate in the sense that you were able to get him diagnosed at an early age. How important is it for early intervention for kids with special needs, Tricia?
I think
That
it allows.
be identified.
It allows for us to be able to fill the gaps that parents face at home. So very much for early intervention, it allows us to provide the support that parents need, so that we can help bridge the skill gaps that parents face at home, so that whatever is learned in school can then be transferred to the home environment and vice versa. So that's, I think, how we can better support parents in that sense.
Talked often about avoiding this so-called pull-out method. Maybe you just tell us a bit about that.
Okay, so if there's a pull-out, the child will not get to experience what it's like being in mainstream.
that's
So by doing so, we will not allow the child to transfer the learned skills to that of the classroom environment and to practice the learned skills again with their peers and also that of with the teachers.
So, Julia, what sort of results have we been seeing with this new sort of integrated learning? Because I understand that Busy Bees or Bright Path, you can transfer the students at
Yes,
do
we
inter-transfer.
can. So at Bright Path, what's happening is that it's been really encouraging to see how children of different levels of learning, different abilities coming together. Like in Russell's class, for example, we can see the children really interacting with one another when actually they are only in their own space, very egocentric. But right now you can see like the two girls in class and they're playing, interacting, socializing, which is probably a very big part of what we want to do, because then that is really the microcosm of what's happening on the outside.
Yeah.
And so it's very exciting to see how the kids are developing. And if you kind of look at what we want to give them, it is really what life can afford them and what we can give as best for them, as you know, whether it's the teacher, whether it's the therapist, something that we want in terms of a hopeful future for them.
Right, rather than deprive them of something just
Yes.
because they may have an added learning need.
Yes, yes.
What sort of stigma did you face, if any, Wann Yun, when when parenting someone like Russell? I mean, it must not be that easy.
Usually in the public, there are times where he will like suddenly have a meltdown, or if I want to go left and he wants to turn right, so he will have this screaming bout. Yeah, the public, they are kind in a way. Sometimes they just walk by. Sometimes they are overly helpful. They will say,
Overly helpful.
Yeah, say, boy, listen to mommy, something like that.
right.
But he is a child that cannot handle adults' gaze.
Okay.
So he will scream more. So I guess some members of the public might think that he's weird, or he's ill-mannered, or he's just, I have poor parenting skills. Yeah, just give us space.
So what message would you have for parents out there who might be struggling to cope with a child with special needs too?
Actually, the first step will be a lot of self-acceptance. Like the parents' acceptance that my child does have different needs. Yeah, so for me, I decided to bite the bullet and just go for the official diagnosis.
Right.
But not everybody would want to do that, and I understand why. So it's really first we have to accept it, whether we get the diagnosis or not. Really seek out help for our children, help to bridge the gaps that they might face in their learning journey or in their own personal development. And early help will really mean a better head start.
And just very quickly before we go, how can we raise more awareness about the situation that early intervention for kids with special needs is really key? It's very quick one.
It's basically for parents to know that we are here to help them, that support is provided, both at home and at school. So it's for them to really know that we are here to walk the journey with them and they are not alone.
And you echo that too, right, Julia?
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in
Thank
today.
you for having
Thank
us.
you. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. We've been talking to Tricia Tam, an associate psychologist, Julia Teo of Busy Bees Asia, and parent Foo Wann Yun.